How so? If the nuts split, the pomegranates burst open, the jars opened, the gourds were cut, or the loaves were broken up, they are voided 1 in 200. Doubtful orla, in Eretz Israel it is forbidden, but in Syria it is permitted, and in foreign lands he goes down and buys, provided only that he does not see him gather. If vegetables are planted in a vineyard and the vegetables are sold outside it, in Eretz Israel it's forbidden, but in Syria it's permitted, and in foreign lands he goes down and gathers, provided only that he does not gather by hand. Chadash is forbidden by Torah law everywhere, and orla is by halacha, and kalayim is by rabbinic law.
Adonalach Maseches Orla. Okay, and one Chazara from Bikkurim.
Okay, here. Okay, one, Aleph. Some bring Bikkurim and recite. Um, some bring Bikkurim and recite, bring but do not recite, and some do not bring. Those who do not bring, he plants into his own, and sinks a shoot into that of an individual or that of the public, and likewise he who sinks a shoot from that of the private or of the public into his own. He who plants into his own and sinks a shoot into his own, but a private or public road is in between, such a one does not bring. Rabbi Yehuda says such a one does bring.
Right, but why is it? Because they're taking their nourishment from land that's not his.
Ah,
And if that's the case, then he can't come and bring bikurim from it. It's because it's not strictly his fruit in that respect.
okay.
Okay. Right.
These are,
Mishnah base.
these are, these are the new ones now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ezetam no maybe. So what's the reason why in these previous cases he doesn't bring Mishum Shenema Reishis Bikuri ad Masacha? The pasuk says it must be the first fruits of your land. Actually, you call Hagidulin Me'ad Masacha. The whole thing has to grow and take its nourishment from your land. Arisin, so that means sharecroppers, chakoros, and chakor is a renter of the land. Vasikrikon, a bandit who stole the land, basically. Gazlan, also a thief. Ein Mevian may also tam. They also cannot bring bikurim for this reason. Mishum shenemar reishis bikuri ad masacha. It's got to be your land. So even though the fruit really does belong to him, and he has a share in it. Even though he has a share in it, he is pater from bikurim. He's not, in fact, he's not allowed to bring bikurim because it's being brought as kodesh, and he doesn't. He can give it as a gift to a kohen in any case, but in terms of the chiyuv of bikurim, he doesn't have because it's not his land. Okay, Mishnah Gimel. Ein mevin bikurim chutz mishivas aminim. Only the 7 minim are chayiv in bikurim. Okay. Lo mitamarim shebaharim, and furthermore, not even from the dates that grow in the mountains. V'lo mipera sheba'amakim, and the other fruits that grow in the valleys, because these are the substandard fruit. Let's just see if the parish over here. I must admit, I didn't have time to prepare this yesterday and came into Tisha B'Av, so I couldn't prepare until then. Okay, because even from the Shiva Saminim, you only bring from the high quality fruit, not from the dates that grow in the mountains and other produce that grows in the valleys are inferior produce. And same thing for olives that are not the top quality olives. You can't bring bikurim before Shavuos. Okay, Anshe Har Tzevoim Heviu Bikurim Kodim Latzeres. Now we recently learned this, didn't we? Where did we learn the Anshe Har Tzevoim who they turned away? In which it was at the closing of a different Masechta. Was that at the end of Orla?
I don't remember.
No, it wasn't at the end of Orla. No, it wasn't. It was what was the previous one that we just did? No, I can't. Now I've gone blank on because we recently did this. Remember, we said there were some people who came and brought and they turned them away because they didn't want them to remember it to be a chava. Okay. Anshe hart tzivoim heviu bikurim kodim la'atzeres velo kiblu mehem mipnei hakasov shebatorah v'chag hakatzir bikurim ma'asecha asher tizra basadeh. So they turned them away. Because you have to bring Bikurim only after Shavuos. So and I'm sure there's going to be another. It'll refer to the other Mishna in Menachos. No, it's not in Menachos. Done. I know we just learned this recently. Yeah.
Where? It wasn't Menachos.
Yeah.
Recently.
No. It was near the end of some Masechta. Yeah. Okay. Don't remember. What could it have been? Could it have been Chala? I wonder if it could have been Chala. I'm sorry. I'm going to go back and wander into that and see if it could have possibly been. I remember it was near the end of a Masechta. Yeah, it was end of Chala.
I have it right here. It's Yud, right? Is that it?
Chala Perik Daled Mishna Yud.
Right.
Yeah.
Right the men of hearts.
Yeah.
Before Shavuot.
Exactly there. Okay. Right. So they didn't accept it from them because you can only bring from Shavuos on, and normally if a stam person brought it, they would say okay, we'll accept it, and they would only have it after Shavuos. But because these were chashuva people, they didn't want to allow them to make a show of bringing this stuff early, and then people get confused with the halacha. Okay, Mishnah Dalet Elu Mevin v'lo korin. The following people will bring Bikurim, but they can't say the Bidoi Bikurim. Okay, Hager maybe Ve'eno Kore, right? He brings if he can own property. There's no problem with the Ger owning property, and he has to bring the Bikurim, but he can't say the declaration. Why? She'eno yachol lomar asher nishba Hashem la'avoseinu la'ases lanu, that Hashem swore to our forefathers to give to us. For Im Haisam Imom Israel maybe Vikore. However, even if his mother is Jewish, then he can even be Kore because there is such a thing as Yerusha by women. Okay. And when he's davening by himself, Omer Elohei Avos Yisrael, then instead of davening to Elokeinu ve'Elokei Avosenu, he must say Elokeinu ve'Elokei Avos Yisrael because he can't say about Avosenu. Right. And when he's in shul, he says Elokei Avosechem. When he's if he's the Baal Tefillah, then he should say Elokei Avosechem. Okay, this is not the halacha. Even if he's just got one Jewish parent, then he can say Elokei Avosenu, because then he can go through his mother's side and attach to that. The halacha is not like that. The halacha is that even the ger says Elokeinu Elokei Avosenu because his father is Avram Avinu.
It says according to the halacha, therefore the ger brings Bikurim and recites the text even if his mother is not Jewish. And he says,
yeah, that is the halacha that the ger doesn't say anything differently. Interestingly, I have a ger has a shaila about what bracha to make in the morning shelo asani goy, because Hashem did make him a goy and he changed it. So one of my ger friends went into this and he says the bracha she asani ger.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh. And the rabbis accept it.
I guess I've never actually asked my other. I've got like lots of friends who are Gerim. I've just never asked any of them what bracha they say. I don't know. You want to be kind of sensitive about these things. Anyway, Orla based Dalet.
Okay. Whatever causes to ferment or seasons or renders meduma with truma, with oil, or with kakarim is forbidden. Beis Shammai says it also renders unclean, but Beis Hillel says it never renders unclean until it contains the bulk of an egg. Dostai of Kafar Yitma was one of the disciples of Beit Shammai, and he said, I heard from Shammai the elder who said he never renders unclean unless it contains the bulk of an egg. Now concerning what did they say that whatever causes to ferment or flavors or which renders meduma the ruling astringent? In the case of like kinds, stringently and leniently, if they are of different kinds. How so? If leaven of wheat fell into dough of wheat, and it suffices to leaven it, then whether it is outweighed by 100 to 1 or is not outweighed by 100 to 1, it's forbidden. If it is not outweighed by 100 to 1, then whether it suffices to cause fermentation or it does not suffice to cause fermentation, it is forbidden.
Okay. And Master Shani Gimel Aleph.
A man may not say to his fellow, take this produce up to Yerushalayim for a share, but he may say to him, take it up and we shall eat it and drink it in Yerushalayim.
Right, because you can't use it as payment.
But they may give each other as a present, give it to each other as a present. One may not buy truma with Meiser Sheni money because this reduces the number of his consumers. But Reb Shimon says, Reb Shimon said to them, what if they ruled leniently regarding peace offerings, which he renders pigul, nota, or unclean? Shall we not rule leniently in the case of truma? They said to him, why, if they rule leniently regarding peace offerings, which are permitted to non-priests, shall we rule leniently in the case of truma, which is forbidden to non-priests?
Right, so they have a different argument as to what limiting the consumption of maser is, at least with the to make it into a korban. Yeah, okay, so it'll have pigul nos and v'yitzamei, but nonetheless, if anyone can eat it. Whereas if you make it into truma, even though there's no time limit on it, now you've prevented Israelim from eating it ever. Okay.
If one has money in Yerushalayim and needs it, and his fellow has produce, he can say to his fellow, this money is in exchange for your produce. Thus, this one eats his produce in a state of cleanliness, and the other one can use his money for any purpose. But he is not to say so to an Amaretz except with that of Demai. Okay.
I am Zion base.
Okay. If one depresses 3 vines and their roots are visible, Reb Zadok says, if they are 4 to 8 cubits between them, they combine. But if not, they do not combine. A withered vine is forbidden, but does not render forbidden. Reb Meir says cotton is also forbidden, but does not render forbidden. Reb Elazar ben Sadok says in his name, also above the vine it is forbidden, yet it must not render forbidden. The following forbid, but do not render forbidden: the remainder of a vineyard laid waste, the remainder of a machal of a vineyard, the remainder of gaps in an aris, the remainder of trellis frames, but beneath a vine, tillage space of vine, and 4 amas is a vineyard, these render forbidden. And if one causes his vine to overhang his neighbor's cereal crop, he renders it forbidden and is responsible for it. Reb Yossi and Reb Shimon say a man does not render forbidden that which is not his.
And that is the halacha, like Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon, that that you can't make somebody else's produce into kilaya kerem.
Okay, we have Dalad Gimel.
Yeah.
If he burned it without wood or with any wood, even with straw or stubble, it's valid. If he skinned it, dismembered it, it's valid. If he slaughtered it with the intent to eat from its meat and to drink from its blood, it's valid. Reb Eliezer says intent does not invalidate the red cow. Let me see what this was that I wanted to ask about. What is this? What did this mean when it said? I meant to ask about this when it says he or to drink from its blood. We don't drink one's blood.
No, but having the intention to do so, we remember we were just learning in Zavachim that having intention to eat, to even having intention to drink the blood after the Zman, we can make it into pigul.
Right.
But here we're saying that this is not, it's not applicable here by the para.
All right. Okay. All those involved in the para aduma service from beginning to end contaminate their clothing, and they invalidate the para aduma by performing another task. It is invalidating circumstance befell the para aduma during its slaughtering. It does not contaminate its clothing. If the invalidation occurred during its sprinkling, whoever participated in the service before its invalidation, it contaminates his clothing. And whoever participated after its invalidation, it does not contaminate his clothing. It thus emerges that its stringency is leniency. It is always subject to me'ilah until it becomes ash, and one may add wood to it, and its procedures are performed by day and by a kohen, and another task invalidates it until it is made into ash. And in performing another task disqualifies water until the ashes are placed into it.
Uh,
Uh,
that's an important thing to remember just going forward, that when you're making the paraduma ashes, you can't do anything else. Any hesech das, do anything else in the way, and it all becomes parcel. Yeah.
If someone brings an earthenware vessel home for katos purposes, he must immerse and spend the night next to the kill. Rabbi Yehuda says he may even bring a small utensil from someone's home, and it is acceptable, for all are trusted with regard to katos.
Even Amaya Aretz are trusted because it's like so, they're not going to be cut any corners when it comes to the paraduma.
And for Truma, he may open the kill and take the utensil. Reb Shimon says he may take a utensil from the second row, and Reb Yossi says from the third row.
That can.
All right, Zvachim.
Zavachim.
Dalid Hey.
Dalad Vav.
Dalid Vav. The sacrifice is slaughtered for the sake of 6 things: for the designation of the sacrifice, for the name of the offerer, for the name of the Hashem, for the name of the fires, for the sake of aroma, and for the sake of pleasing the katos and asham offerings, and for the purpose of the sin. Said Reb Yossi, even if one did not have any of these purposes in mind, it is valid for an enactment of the court, because the intent is determined solely by the one who performs the service. What is the proper place for the sacrifice? The most holy offerings are slaughtered in the north. The bull and he-goat of Yom Kippur have their slaughter performed in the north, and the reception of the blood in a sacred vessel in the north. And the blood requires sprinkling between the poles and toward the curtain and the golden altar. The omission is even one of these applications prevents atonement. The remainder of the blood he would pour onto the western base of the outer altar, but if he did not apply it, it does not prevent atonement. The bulls that are burned and the he-goats that are burned have their slaughter in the north, and the reception of their blood in a sacred vessel in the north, and their blood requires sprinkling toward the curtain and the golden altar. The admission of even one of these applications prevents atonement. The remainder of the blood he would pour on the western base of the outer altar, but if he did not apply it, it does not prevent atonement. These and those are burned in the place of the ashes.
Okay.
All right.
And finally, the Sebas. Zain Dalet.
If one pronounces a vow on his wife that she should not go to her father's house when he is with her in the city, 1 month he may keep her, 2 months he must divorce her and give her her ketubah. When he is in another city 1 festival, he may keep 3. He may keep her 3. 3 festivals he must divorce her and give her the ketubah.
So it doesn't say what about 2. So that's the interesting thing, because that leaves it actually a little ambiguous, because if he says if it's only 1 festival before he annuls the vow, then he can keep her, but if it's 3, then he has to divorce her. So what is of it? What is of 2? So the Gemara explains that the Sefer is talking about the Eishes Kohen. And that's according to Rabbi Yehuda, who makes a distinction between a Yisrael and a Kohenes. So therefore, the Mishnah, actually, the full text of the Mishnah should see Regel Echad Yikayim, Shnaim Yotzi V'Yitzen Kesubah, and if it's 2 regalim, then he has to divorce her. Over Kohenes, Shnaim Yikayim Shlosha Yotzi V'Yitzen Kesubah. So for Ashes Kohen, then up to 2 times he doesn't have to divorce her, because divorce by Kohenim is completely final. So they don't want to close the door so hard in his face. Anyway, carry on.
If one pronounces a vow on his wife that she should not go to a house of mourning or go to a house of feasting, he must divorce her and give her the ketubah, because he locks the door before her. But if he claims that it was due to some other cause, he may. If he said to her, on the condition that you will tell so-and-so what you said to me, or what I said to you, or that you fill up and pour out into the garbage, he must divorce her and give her the ketubah. And these are divorced without a ketubah, one who transgressions the law of Moses or Jewish practice. And now, what is the law of Moses? If she feeds him food that he has not tithed, has relations with him when she is a menstruate, does not separate challah or vows, and does not keep her vows. Now, what is a Jewish practice? If she goes outside with her hair uncovered, or if she spins in the street, or if she talks with every man. Abba Shaul says also if she curses his parents in his presence. Reb Tarfon says also if she is a loud-mouthed woman. Now, what is a loud-mouthed woman? One who speaks in her house and her neighbors hear her voice. Okay.
Okay.
All right, great. Oh, I'm
Keep
glad we
that.
got to
Keep
do
that.
this.
Keep armed with that information. Yeah.
Right. I'm glad we got to do this. Okay, good.
Okay.
When are you leaving? Is it Friday? Thursday?
Wednesday morning.
When I say
So
Friday?
Tuesday will be our last year.
All right, you would never leave on a Friday. Okay. The flight's short anyway, isn't it? It's not a long
Five
flight.
hours.
Yes, that's okay. But Friday's a bad day to travel.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So
Okay.
Tuesday is our last one. Okay.
It's a Shem. See
Thank
you
you.
tomorrow.
Mr. Shem. Have a
Okay.
good day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.